परमात्मने प्रणतक्लेशनाशाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः. This is the second part of a webinar in 2 sessions on Kapila-Geetā, not the original one as found in Srimad Bhagavatam, but its summary form or an abridged form as found in Nārāyaneeyam. In the last session, we talked a little about the glory of Nārāyaneeyam, Srimad Bhagavatam running into more than 18,000 shlokas was put into just a little over 1,000 shlokas or verses by a saint scholar called Nārāyana Bhattatiri. Written by Nārāyana Bhattatiri, it is Nārāyaneeyam, and especially it praises Mahā Vishnu, Nārāyana, in all his 10 incarnations, the well-known ones, and a few more less-known ones too. Therefore, praising Lord Narayana, it is called Nārāyaneeyam. This 15th canto of Srimad Nārāyaneeyam, which has 100 cantos. Approximately, if you take 10 verses in each canto, that adds up to 1,000. But we have already said it is a few verses more than 1,000 in the whole work. And this abridgment or this condensation is not to be put aside lightly. The amount of literature, the amount of various skills of poetry that have gone into this Nārayaneeyam can make anybody raise his or her eyebrows. More than Sahitya, literature, the very content is so lofty, teaching jnana as well as bhakti in a very effective manner. This Nārayaneeyam deserves to be studied, recited, contemplated upon again and again. In the last session, we saw the background story that there was this avatar. Just as we know Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Vamana and all those Dashavatara, there was this Kapila Avatara by Mahā Vishnu. Mahā Vishnu was born to Kardama Rishi and his wife Devahuti. The story goes that Kardama and Devahuti were blessed with 9 daughters, and as their 10th child, Mahavishnu himself came as Kapila. We clarified that this Kapila, avatar of Sri Mahavishnu, is different from the founder or the champion of Sankhya Shastra, one of the 6 darshanas, Kapila Muni. The same name, but that person, Kapila Muni of Sankhya Darshana, among the 6 darshanas, Nyaya and Yoga, Sankhya and Vaisheshika, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. So that Kapila Muni is different. This Kapila Rishi, this Kapila Muni, son of Devahuti, is an incarnation of Bhagavan Vishnu. The Blessed Mother recognized his divinity pretty soon, and at the right time, she requests her own son. What a magnificent scenario. The mother bowing down before her son and requesting him to give the essentials of the whole science of liberation. We saw the first 6 verses. All these 10 verses, of which we saw 6, are in a certain meter called Mālini, which has 12 syllables, and It is sung probably in many tunes, but we will employ a simple tune. As I sang some of them, let me sing for you the first one. Matiriha guna sakta bandha kritveshvasakta tvamrita kriduparundhe bhakti yogastu saktim mahadanuk mahadanugama labhya bhaktirevatra sadhya kapilatanuriti devahutyai nyagadi. Nārāyana Bhattatiri addresses Mahā Vishnu, saying to Shri Mahā Vishnu, Bhattatiri, the author of this whole Nārāyaneeyam, says, Kapila Tanuhu, you came in the form of Kapila, son of Devahuti, and to your mother Devahuti, you gave these teachings. In the very first verse, he comes to the crux of the matter. When our mind gets attached to sense objects, our mind yields to the temptations and provocations of this world, then bandhakrit, it causes bondage to us. And without dilly-dallying, you gave to your mother the solution, the remedy, the medicine. The medicine to these worldly attachments is intense love of God. Bhakti Yogaha Saktim Uparundhe was said in the second line of the very first shloka. Then a little bit of what it means is Bhakti Yoga can halt our worldliness. Otherwise, our worldliness, in spite of our scholarship, in spite of our talent, wealth, position in the society, and 100 other gifts, our worldly tendencies, desire for sense pleasure, and indulging in name and fame can get worse by the day. Bhakti Yoga Uparundhe. What a powerful expression. You know, Rodha means stopping. When you get into bhakti, without your knowing what is happening, the devotion that you are resorting to stops that growth of worldliness and brings detachment. Mahadanugama labhya, the third pada of the first shloka said, be in company of pious people, be in company of wise people, saints, then you will get bhakti more easily. Then, as Nārāyana Bhattatiri says this to Mahavishnu, O Lord, you then taught your mother a little bit of the fundamentals of the philosophy, how there are some 24 factors that create this universe, but there is the Purusha Tattva, consciousness principle, which is to be realized. And generally, people are carried away by the glamour of Prakriti. Nobody notices the sinless, taintless, the purest consciousness principle. Every moment you and I have both the shining awareness in us, but both meaning we also have the eyes wanting to see some beautiful forms, the tongue wanting to eat something delicious, the nose wanting to smell something fragrant, and so on. And most of us foolishly do not notice the light of consciousness, which is very much burning brightly in us, but we notice the eatables, the beautiful forms, the music or dance, and so on, now coming to us through WhatsApp and other media also. Life has become so more complicated, I tell you. Right in our hands, there is a devil at work. We pick it up to see whether somebody has sent a message, important message where we may have something to do, maybe where it may call upon us to perform some duty. That's our purpose. We lift the mobile, but many a time without even looking at messages, that warrant performance of duty, we chance upon some dance, some music, some advertisement, some funny thing. And before we realize what has happened, we have been on the mobile, on the smartphone for 45 minutes. Ah, what happened to me, we say. And this keeps repeating. Therefore, in the second verse, Kapila Muni says to, Narayana says to Mahavishnu in the Kapila Muni's form, O Kapila Muni, you actually taught Devahuti. Kapila Tanuhu Devahutyaihi iti Nyagadihi. Nyagadihi means you said in that form. And then the third verse again said, Prakriti means three gunas, and all of us have an irresistible tendency to fall in love with the gunas. Sometimes tamoguna makes us so attached to it, either in the form of we lie on the bed endlessly, laziness, or we remain very, stubborn in certain negative ways of talking, treating others, and so on. When you refuse to change, when you know you are on the wrong path, but still you say, ah, nothing will happen. I will change, but not in this year. In the new year is just round the corner. In the new year, I'm going to change. What is this nonsense? Once you know something is not to be done, why don't you drop it? Tamoguna doesn't permit us to make a change. Like Newton's first law of inertia, things that are stationary remain stationary, things that are moving continue to move at the same speed unless an external force is applied. That's Newton's law. Tamoguna in us, that's also a law of inertia. We have been living in a wrong way, we continue to live that way. Or we have been wasting time just lying down watching television or something, we just stay there. The same way, Sad Rajoguna. When you and I are caught in Rajoguna, many times so many so-called spiritual organizations also go on raising funds, go on building new buildings, go on. We don't know whether they are really interested in serving the society or are they riding on some high wave from which they are unable to get out. Are they riding on a tiger, as the idiom goes? Maybe if they get down, the tiger will eat them. And to be on a tiger, anyhow, is not a pleasant experience. But Rajoguna is like that, not sparing even so called spiritual organizations, human beings, that is, you and I, get very stuck, get very attached to particular modes of operation, then self knowledge is made difficult that time. So he talks about gunas, which also we saw, and then the fourth verse was a beautiful one. Vimalamati Rupa Tairasanad Asanadhyai Madangam Garuda Samadhirudham Divya Bhushayudhankam Ruchitulitamalam Shilayeta Anuvelam Kapilatanurithitvam Devahutyai Nyagadi. The fourth verse is beautiful, I'm saying, because Shri Nārāyana Bhattatiri puts in that shloka what Kapila would have said to Devahuti, and that consists of a simple example of contemplation on Mahā Vishnu. Think of Mahā Vishnu, his form, seated upon Garuda, having divine ornaments and other decorations, and Shilayeta Anuvelam. Bring your mind back again and again, even as the mind goes here and there, gently bring it back. Think of God. As Sri Krishna in the Gita says, Shanai Shanai hi uparamet buddhya dritigrahitaya atmasanstam manakritva nakinchidapi chintayet. Slowly and steadily. Don't say you cannot do it. You can. You can withdraw your mind from the dangerous distractions of the world. Unless it is a duty, withdraw. When it's duty, sometimes you will have to do. That's a different story. But a lot of times we let our mind go towards things where it is none of our business. And we know that I am running into trouble if I go further in this thinking process. But either kama or krodha, either raga or dvesha. Interestingly and rather ironically, dvesha also gives us certain energy sometimes. We hate somebody, we want to finish him off, we want to teach her a lesson, and suddenly from nowhere such energy comes in us. But that energy, which is directed towards hurting and destroying somebody, will very soon hurt us only. Therefore, we have to be free from raga and dvesha. And to do so, think of, contemplate on Mahā Vishnu's form. And he elaborates it in the fifth verse. Mama guna gana lila akarnanai kirtanadhyai. Listen to stories of Sriman Narayana. Listen to the bhajans, kirtan, or sing. If you can yourself sing, sing those. There is a wide spectrum of hymns, a wide spectrum of choices. Simple bhajans, maybe in your own mother tongue, very, very easy, or in Sanskrit, or if you are a Sanskrit scholar, very complex tongue twisting compositions are also available. We are inheritors to a wonderful heritage of so much of hymns. So we must sing those hymns. Sura Saridoga Prakya Chittanuvrittihi. Like the smooth flow of Ganga, our mind then flows steadily towards Mahavishnu, towards God, towards Sri Krishna, towards Lord Jagannatha. Call him as you may. Then Parama Bhakti arises. Bhavati Parama Bhakti Sahi Mrityor Vijetri. That can help you conquer even death. So in 5 verses, the paths of rising higher were shown. And in the sixth verse that we saw last time, Ahaha Bahula Hinsa Sanchitarthai Kutumbam. When you and I get stuck in worldly matters, I, my spouse, my family, my grandchildren, my house, my bank balance, then it's very difficult. Though spirituality never is per se against family, but wants us. Family life can actually be made conducive to spirituality. That art we should get through satsangs. Many grahasthas sometimes do better sadhana than some sadhus in the Himalayas. For finally, it is not the external circumstances, but the inner direction. If you are fortunate to come upon some satsanga, wherever you are, you will put God first. But generally, in 8 out of 10 cases, once there are all these family issues, Pratidinam Anupushnan Strijitaha Balalalo or Balalali. Balalala, yes. So attached to spouse and children and so on, it is said one gets more and more into a psychological mess. Spirituality is to clear our psychology. Our bondage is in our psychology. It's the mind that gets attached. Because we wear torn clothes, we will not be bound. Even if we are wearing excellent clothes, if our mind says these are not so good, the other guy has better clothes, he is coated, booted, suited. My shirt is though expensive, nowhere near. Sometimes with a big house, our mind may say you are poor, and somebody else living in a hut has his mind saying, this is a very comfortable hut. I am blessed to have this hut. So it's the mind. It's the mind which binds, and therefore it's not inappropriate to say spirituality essentially lifts us above various forms of bondages created by our own mind. Therefore, in the sixth verse, it is said, Grihasaktaha yatanam vishati. Various forms of suffering come to him. Down the road, the worldly householder says, oh my, why did I marry at all? Why did I have children at all? Why did I build this house at all? And so on. Once more, that is not really because of the wife, husband, or children. One has not done sadhana to free one's mind from erroneous perceptions. As a householder, one gets sometimes better opportunities. So, that clarification we have done. Today we will enter the seventh verse and the 7, 8, 9, and 10. We shall see how in this short chapter of running into just 10 verses, the great author, poet, saint Nārāyana Bhattatiri provides to us a brief version, a concise version of Kapila-Geetā of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll present some slides quickly, which you had seen if you had attended last meaning 2 weeks ago, Sunday, December 8. So here we are. The first verse I narrated, Matiriha Gunasakta. Matihi Gunasakta Bandakrit. It causes bondage. And nature of this creation, Prakriti, Mahat, Ahankara, these are the components. And they are very delusory. You can't see them and remain neutral. You will want some, you want to run away from some. Ragadvesha arise. In the third one, the shloka had this line, Yadi tu sajati, Purusha sajati, then ajyate, and tasyam tadgunaha tam bhajeran. The first half is about bondage. Second, madanu bhajana tattva alochanaihi sa api apeyat. Sa means Prakriti. Prakriti is a feminine word. So Prakriti, which traps you in the beginning, as the third line goes in this shloka, Madanu Bhajana Tattva. You said to Devahuti, you said to your mother that anyone who does constant bhajan of you, Madanu Bhajana Tattva Alochanaihi, one is devoted remembrance of God, another is that devotion is to be interspersed with tattva alochana, contemplation upon the spiritual truths that a guru would teach us. Then sa api, sa prakriti, which normally binds you, apeyat, apagachati. It just goes away. Vimalamatirupattair madangam. Asanadyehi madangam. Anga is the body of Mahā Vishnu. Garuda Samadhi Rudam. This is the Sakara Saguna Upasana. And that third pada says Shilayate or Shilayeta Anuvelam. Anuvelam is Anukshanam, all the time, as much as possible. One more time, not at the expense of our duties, but all our leisure, all between two duties, between two tasks that our conscience says we must do, we get time. If we are watching, we actually get a lot of time here and there where we are not bound by duty. That is what we should invest in sadhana. Mama guna gana leela akarnanaihi kirtanadyehi. Mai sura sarid oga, that is Ganga, sura sarid oga, prakya chittanu bhavati parama bhaktihi. Intense devotion. You are missing something, he seems to say. If in human life you don't come upon this intense devotion for God, your life has gone a waste. Come on. You might have experienced 1,000 things of the world, traveled widely in the world, and tasted all kinds of cuisine, all kind of music, Western, Eastern, and other, worn dresses and fashionable attire of so many cultures, flown by fancy planes, helicopters, and others. Make a long list of all that you have enjoyed in this world. All of them are peanuts before experiencing love of God. Bhavati parama bhaktihi sahi mrityor vijetri. That one glimpse of or one little taste of divine love gives you an inkling, an idea of, yeah, I am actually Satchit. I am free and I don't now fear even death. Let death come. I don't die. Maybe this body, even as I am watching, will fall off. I am ready to go. Disease, old age, everything I will take in stride now, in my stride. Therefore, it's called Mrityoho Vijetri. And Nārāyana Bhattatiri addresses Mahā Vishnu. O Mahā Vishnu, you came as Kapila Muni, Kapila Tanuhu, Devahutyai to your mother, Nyagadihi, such spiritual teachings you gave. Sixth also you saw about a worldly person. Ahaha bahula hinsa sanchitarthai kutumbam pratidinamanupushnan strijito balakali vishatihi grahasakto yatanam maya bhaktaha kapilatanuriti devahutyai nyagadihi. You said to your mother, "Oh mother, you are so blessed, you are so pure hearted, you are so pure minded. Rather than asking me to settle somewhere with a good job and all comforts, you are asking me for spiritual wisdom. Unlike you, in this creation, overwhelming majority people are after money, money, and money. For that, as the first quarter says, Bahula Hinsa Sanchitartai. They sanchita, they collect money sometimes through violent and wrong, adharmic ways. And they are overpowered by the lust and greed and so on. Alas, how sad. With this, we come to today's new verse. This also talks about how, unless we rise spiritually, it is a terrible story of coming again and again to the sphere of limitations, sorrow. As Chandogya would say, na alpe sukhamasti. Yo vai bhuma tadeva sukham. In the finite, you can never have lasting happiness. Things that are finite, outwardly or inwardly, outwardly meaning things you collect, inwardly meaning some talent you have developed, some skill you have developed, you have learned some certain things which others cannot do, you have improved your personality. Whatever, all of them actually are alpa. And bhuma is where there is a transcendence of your own personality. You must realize who you are, which, as per the Vedanta, is above what you presently think you are. Yuvati jatara khinnaha. Yuvati means a young mother. So, born in the womb of a young woman, mother, jata bodha api akhande, passes through, jiva passes through severe trials. Prasava galita bodha. When it is said in the Shastras that when you are in the womb, you actually have all good intentions. Oh my God, this is uncomfortable. This life of mine, I'm going to be spiritual from beginning. But all that goes away, prasava galita bodha. all those good intentions, all that idea of living a spiritual life vanishes into thin air once you are born. Prasava is birth. As the translation by Tapasyananda also says, though the jiva retains the memory of the past in the womb, this memory gets erased during the travails of birth. Once the child is born, boy or girl, then through infancy, through childhood, the child, the growing individual, gets again and again deluded. Punarapi muhyati eva tarunya kale. What Sri Shankaracharya said in the Bhaja Govindam. Alastavat क्रीडासक्तः तरुणस्तावत् तरुणीरक्तः वृद्धस्तावत् चिन्तामग्नः परमे ब्रह्मणि कोऽपि न लग्नः भज गोविन्दम् भज गोविन्दम्. All of us know, but in spite of knowing it, we are not alert enough to avoid getting caught in this world. Kapila Tanuriti Devahutyai Nyagadihi. Nyagadihi is a form of past tense. You said, O Sriman Nārāyana, Kapila Tanu, coming in the form of Kapila Muni, the son, you said all this, such sublime teachings you gave to your mother, Devahuti. And going by these teachings can be a tremendous eye-opener to anybody. If we are ready to open our eyes, these are eye-openers. It is said that you can wake up somebody who is really asleep, but you cannot wake up somebody who is pretending to be asleep. You shake him, then with all his will, he doesn't open the eyes. He is pretending to be asleep. Likewise, when you and I are caught in negative tendencies, we read, we memorize, we write also articles on this. But our personal life would have all the failings, all the weaknesses of worldly people. Then we go, the eighth verse. Now, in the narration of what Kapila Muni taught Devahuti, Shri Nārāyana Bhattatiri again comes back to the upward journey. Two or three verses were sung describing the fall. Now we come back to the rise. And this is a bit of a, you can say, gist of what is said by Sri Krishna in the 8th chapter. So we have Pitrasura Ganayaji Dharmiko Yograhastha Sacha Nipatati Kale Dakshinadhopagami Mai Nihitamakamam Karma Tudak Pathartham Kapilatanuriti Tvam Devahutyai Nyagadi. Nārāyana Bhattatiri says to Mahā Vishnu, in the Kapila's body, you said this to your mother. What did Mahā Vishnu in his avatar say? This talks about the two Dakshina Marga and Uttara Marga. As you have in Bhagavad Gita also, in 8th chapter you have the two paths. Agnirjyotiraha Shuklaha Shanmasa Uttarayanam Tatra Prayanta Gachanti Brahma Brahma Vidojana. Verse 24. That is the brighter path mentioned second in this shloka here. And Gita mentions that first, and the darker path Gita mentions later. 25th verse. Dhumo ratristata krishnaha shanmasa dakshinayanam tatra chandramasam jyotihi yogi prapya nivartate. So, Kapila Muni mentions just two words. Dakshina Adva. Adva also means path. What Krishna calls Gati. Shukla Krishne Gati Hyete Jagata Shashvate Mate. He uses the word Gati. Shukla Gati or Krishna Gati. Shukla Marga or Krishna Marga. Here, Dakshina Marga and Udak is north, Patha Marga. Because of one particle tu, karma tu udak padartham. It is not padartha, tu udak patha. Patha is the path. So what is it? Those of us who act smart first, we think Shastras cannot mean anything to us. We are above all law. We go berserk. But pretty soon life teaches us such lessons. We come back on Sanmarga. And then we perform in the old traditional language various yajna, yaga, karma, what scriptures ask us to do. In modern times, we serve the society. We do some japa, tapa, some puja, some sadhana, as we have learned from our gurus. We live a life of certain order, certain self-effort. We bring in our purushartha to live a virtuous life. But the issue is, the first half of the shloka talks about such people among us. While doing all that, we entertain a strong desire for some heaven and some wonderful worlds. So it is called Sakama Bhakti. Therefore, it is Dakshina Adva Upagami. We go to heaven, we enjoy for some years, some hundreds of years maybe. But when the punya is over, as the ninth chapter of Gita says, Kshine punye martyalokam vishanti. Kapila Muni says, such a nipatati. After a jolly good time in the heavens, the Jivatma falls back on the earth as a human being again. Start again. Whereas those among us, a smaller number, Mai nihitam akamam karma. Akamam karma is nishkamam karma. That takes us Udak pata, Urdhva pata or Uttara pata, Uttara marga, Agni marga, Jyotir marga, Shukla marga, Uttarayana marga. These are the names. Intrinsically, it is a matter of certain devata presiding over it, not necessarily the particular months. Mai nihitam akamam karma udak patartham nayati. And this you mentioned to her, and she already must have heard a lot of things. This day, whatever she listens from her own son becomes very helpful for her to quickly steady her mind. Vedanta does not work overnight for anybody among us because we have baggage, not the fault of Vedanta. We have baggage. So we need to shed, we need to let go of so many of our evil tendencies. But Devahuti is an exceptionally pure-minded woman, and she, whatever little she had heard here and there from visiting rishis, etc., had brought her to a certain height. But her son giving this makes her quickly take a position, reject the anatma, assert the atma. She does atma anatma viveka and asserts, claims the atmahood and lets go of attachment to anatma. So the path of darkness is a path of return. The path of light, where there is nishkama bhakti, is a path of no return. One goes further and gets krama mukti. Now, the last but one verse, sums up the story. Iti suvedita vedyam devahe devahutim kritanuti manugrihya tvam gato yogi sangaihi. Though short, the narration is very picturesque. The son, Kapila Muni, Suvidita Vedyam, Deva He Devahutim, having got her Suvidita. Now she has come to know. What did she come to know? Vedya, whatever has to be known. Vidita Vedya means someone who has come to know what needs to be known. Just as Krita Kritya means someone who has done what needs to be done. We have done what we had to do. Then you are Kritakritya. We know what had to be known. We are Vidita Vedya. The son makes his mother Vidita Vedya, Suvidita Vedya. She now has the clearest understanding. And then, though she doesn't have to do anything, she sings the praise of Mahā Vishnu, standing before her in the form of her son. Krita Nutim. Nuti means namaskara, and associated with it some hymns and so on. The son in turn anugrahya blesses this lady, Devahuti, and what made me say it's a picturesque narration is there is no wasting of time. His job is done at this particular place. He gets up. He does not stay at that home anymore. Meanwhile, from different directions, many yogis have come and they say, "Come with us." And he smiles, says goodbye to his mother, and goes with those yogis. Yogi Sangaihi Tvam Gataha. Nārāyana Bhattatiri says to Vishnu, you then walked away. You walked away with the yogis, with no attachment. We don't say no love. He had all the love for his mother. In spirituality, we distinguish love and attachment very clearly. More the attachment, less is your true love. Less the attachment, more is your love. Love is eternal. Attachment is ayaram gayaram. Comes and goes. Today you are attached to this, tomorrow you are attached to that, and you yourself don't know what is happening to you. Whereas love is a certain inner maturity. The son has all the love for his mother, and he is confident that his walking away will be good for her too. She goes in her own direction, probably in a little while. She ends her life, possibly, or lives in a certain very pious manner for some time, but she is Kritakritya. She is so blessed. She has done what had to be done. Vimala matihi ata asau bhakti yogena mukta. The third line is about Devahuti. Her mind has become utterly Vimala now. All last traces of impurity have vanished. Bhakti yogena mukta. Her pure devotion to God, now to God who came as her own son, has set her free. And this shloka doesn't end with Kapila Tanurititvam, Devahutya Negadi. That line doesn't come. In the ninth verse, Nārāyana Bhattatiri changes it. Tvamapi janahitartham vartase pragudichyam. Prague means east, Udichi means north, so northeast. He went to some northeastern regions of this great country. Why did he go there? Apparently, some portion, some region was marked by a lot of spiritual aspirants coming over there. So he went and he stayed there to share his wisdom with those who really are hungry for it. Janahitartham, your job here is over. And you went. Tvam Vartase, you live there now. Kapila Muni, you live there. Mahā Vishnu, you live there. The reference could be one of the holy places. No mention is made of the exact village or town or place on the Himalayas or somewhere. Pragudichyam janahitartham tvam vartase. You are here now. With this, the teachings are summarized. Now comes the personal submission of Nārāyana Bhattatiri. As we said in the story that we took up last time, all Narayana, the whole of Nārayanam was composed with a tremendous sense of surrender, invoking all that is possible for him to surrender. He says to Bhagavan Krishna, Guru Ayurappa, Pavana Puresha, Parama kimu bahuktya Tvatpadamboja bhaktim Sakala bhaya vinetrim Sarva kamopanetrim Vadasi khalu dridam tvam Tadvidhuyamayan me Guru pavana puresha Tvayupadhatsva bhaktim. Parama kimu bahuktya. Parama is addressing Mahavishnu. Hey Parama, O Supreme Being. Parama is Sambodhan. Like you call Ramaha as Hey Rama. Paramaha is Hey Parama. O Supreme Being, O Mahavishnu. This is Nārāyana Bhattatiri saying to Mahavishnu now. Devahuti has gone to the side. And even Kapila Muni Avatara has as though gone to the side. Now this last sloka is between Guru Ayuru, Sri Krishna, Pavana Purapati, and Nārāyana Bhattatiri. Kimu Bahu Uktya. What is the use of going on talking and talking? Tvatpadamboja bhaktim sakala bhaya vinetrim sarva kamopanetrim vadasi kalu dridam tvam. You have dridam very firmly, beyond any shade of doubt, said that Tvatpadamboja bhakti, the devotion to your lotus feet, is sakala bhaya vinetri, takes away. Nayana means vinayana is taking away. And sarva kama upanetri, it brings to us. Upanayana is bringing and Vinayana is taking away. Devotion to your lotus feet takes away all our fears and brings to us whatever we desire. That you have said in even these verses, even these teachings that you gave to your mother in that avatara. Vadasi khalu dridam tvam. Therefore, my personal submission is Tad vidhuya amaya. Amaya means disease. He was suffering from some paralytic attack and whatnot. So, vidhuya, take away my ailment so that I can be a much better instrument to sing your glories for no other purpose. I want to get back to good health and want to write more, sing more, share more the glories. After a certain point in spiritual journey, every one of us comes to that kind of state of mind. We don't seek anything for ourselves. We only want to be an instrument in God's hands for sharing the wisdom of the scriptures, which helped us remove our ego, which helped us put aside the cobwebs of our mind. We enjoy great happiness in being nobody, being nothing, wanting to nobody, wanting to become nobody, wanting to become nothing. We don't have any personal goals. But if at all there is a goal, it is to praise God, praise the Gurus, and so on. So towards that his request, Tad Vidhuya Amayan. As you know, Niramaya means healthy, Amaya is disease. Guru Pavana Puresha, Guruvayuru is called in Sanskrit Guru Pavana Pura. Pavana is Vayu, Pura is Uru. Guru Pavana Pura, Isha. Guruvayurappa Tvai Upadatsva Bhaktim. Please ensure that I have intense devotion to you. I have great devotion to you. As the last part of translation also shows, bless me with devotion to you. Tvai Bhaktim Upadatsva. Put in me pure devotion to you. Bless me with devotion. In fact, that bless me with devotion is the primary request, and remove my disease is the secondary one. But that also has a place in the scheme of things. Therefore, let me conclude saying you and I should never shudder from, never hesitate, never fight shy of asking God for something. Especially it's a genuine need. There's no adharma about it. You should not hesitate. You want a car, ask God for a car. But say, give me a car but more than that, give me more devotion. Give me a house, more than that, give me devotion to you. No harm in including a car or a house or some such thing. You want your neighbor to be cured? Please do ask God. God, I can't see my neighbor suffering so much. Please give him good health. And as far as I myself am concerned, give me more love, love of you, and right spiritual wisdom, and so on. So, asking for elimination of ailments and certain so called worldly wishes is not wrong, but it is not the best, of course. The best is seeking devotion and devotion alone. But we should not pretend to have already reached very high levels. Let's be honest. We do want our near and dear ones to enjoy good health, to keep smiling. We want ourselves to have good health. So let's be open about it. That's what comes out here. In every chapter, he makes a request like that. Amayan, viduya, bhaktim upadatsva. Enrich me with your devotion. Thus, though it is 10 verses, it is so wonderful to go over and collect the beautiful teachings of this little chapter, or as we call it, a canto in this Srimad Nārāyaneeyam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Nārāyana. Om Namo